What's up, party people and magic makers? Destiny here on this magical Monday. As you know, every week I come at you with some mindset tip, something for you to think about, to chew on, and then that way you can implement it during the week. And don't forget to tell me how it went for you, okay? And like I said, if you know of anybody that could use this message, please feel free to share it with them and then comment below and interact with me. I'm here for us to do that, okay? So what I wanted to chat about is what I've been seeing. Yes, on social media again. I know you guys know that I get a lot of stuff on social media, but it's one of the patterns that I definitely want us to break. And that is the pattern of not being able to have a healthy communication with someone else. And what it seems to be is that, like, if you disagree with someone, one, it takes place out in public. Two, it takes place by like a text, like typing, and not actual conversation. And then three, it seems very like rare and attackish. And I wanted to really like dive in to get to the bottom of that. And this all stems from a conversation that I had with my husband last night. And, you know, like, he didn't realize how much of like in the middle between Democrat and Republican I am. I actually flip-flop in my voting pretty often, because I don't necessarily agree with everything on one side and everything on the other. I really do look for a candidate that I agree with the most. But I also learned from past elections that I also want my vote to count. So even if I do vote like independent, I tend to lean more that way. I also know that by voting that way, my vote doesn't actually count. And so we were having this conversation, and I realized, like, what's been happening on social media is this whole cancel culture thing, where if you don't agree with somebody, it can't just be okay to disagree. Somebody's got to be right, and usually you think that's yourself, so then that automatically makes the other person wrong. But what I don't think people realize is that both people could actually be right. And here's what I mean by that. I don't know if you grew up this way, I did, but I was always told, like, there's my truth of what happened. Let's say, for example, my brothers and I get into a fight, right? So there's my truth as to what happened, my brother's truth as to what happened, and then the real truth is like somewhere in the middle. So what if we actually start looking at people and seeing where they're at, right? Even if they're on polar opposite sides of us, and then meeting in the middle, right? That doesn't mean we have to 100% agree with what they're saying, but can we have civil conversations around that and utilizing our voice to teach, to inform, to educate, to stretch people into their discomfort zones, their uncomfortable zones, right? Like, stretch their comfort zones out so that they're in that kind of uncomfortable phase, but support them while they are there. Support them while they are learning. Support them while their mind is expanding. And do it both ways, instead of just going, nope, bye, and blocking someone. Now, let me be clear. If someone is being incredibly toxic and like swearing at you, and it just feels really icky, yeah, I get that. But what I'm talking about is like your family and your friends, these people who, when you could actually call to reach out to them, and having these conversations instead of assumptions. Because that's what I'm seeing a ton of, is a lot of assumptions being made. These really huge blanket statements. And you know, if you go back on how to identify the limiting beliefs, there are certain words, right, that you can listen to know that there's a limiting belief in there. And some of them are like all, everybody, nobody. It's too big of a blanket statement. There's a bullshit limiting belief that's behind those statements. But yet people share those statements all the time on memes, and they just keep going forth with them without thinking about it, right? Without stopping to just go, wait a minute, why am I agreeing with this? Why is this really true? It's just, it fits good enough, and then it gets shared. But does it fit all the way, right? Like, this is the part where it's like, if it doesn't, then like somebody brings that up, boom, like, oh, we'll block them. Oh, get off my page. Oh, whatever. It's not cultivating the conversation, right? And I think right now, more important than ever, it's the time to have that conversation, to take the time to meet in the middle and discuss and have like really amazing, deep, like depth conversations instead of the shallow stuff. And also not assuming, checking in, right? Like if you don't agree with something on someone's page, you can message them just as easily as you could, comment. But somehow people like to do the commenting because it's public and it's big fanfare and we're going to prove someone wrong. But what if they're not wrong? What if you're not wrong either? What if you're both right? Now, see, that seems to be mind-blowing because, like, how can we both be right? Well, that's the thing. When you do your own work and you start healing your own trauma, and that's where the reactions are coming from, is our trauma, right? And that's why you see some people either not reacting at all, some people reacting in rage, some people blowing up, some people just, like, shutting down. It's all coming from our trauma. When that gets healed, we can have healthier conversations. We can have conversations where we feel really good about saying what we're saying. We're trusting in what we're saying. We're using our voice. We're bringing it up. And like we can do it in a way that's respectful and that's forward moving and that creates a space of growth, right? But we got to look at us first. Why are we being triggered by these things? And if you're because it's right, because it's wrong, yeah, that's a beautiful shallow answer. But go deeper. Find out why you're really being triggered by something so that you can heal that. That doesn't make it go away. That just means that you can come from a place of neutrality and like an actual logic and being able to express yourself in a way that other people can receive it without just blowing up and yelling and screaming. Because that people are like, yeah, I'm done, right? And so it's like just being really aware of how you're presenting what you have to say. And if you go and you look, there are some people that are very elegant and classy and still get the point across, right? And they can still say everything that they want to say in a very beautiful way. And you can do that too. Just make sure that where it's coming from is a place that's healthy for you and that it's healed. Because when you come from a place that still has the trauma coming up and it still has all of these triggers for you and you haven't healed that, it becomes reactionary. So just check in with yourself and make sure that you're using your voice and saying what you have to say in a really positive, forward-moving, respectful way. Because man, when you do that as a leader, and yes, we are all leaders, as a leader, you have people following you, right? And that's where the really good, yummy stuff gets done. So that's where we're working towards. Okay, that's what we want to see so that you can have everything that you want to have because you 100% deserve it, and you're using your voice in a very respectful way that like gets the point across and really like brings people towards you instead of pushing them away. Because that's what we're really going to need. We're going to need each other. And I don't know that the government's going to give us everything that we're really going to need. And so honestly, like, I want to make sure my neighbors are cool. I want to make sure, like, the people that I know are taken care of. And that's where I'm coming from in this, is like making sure my peeps are good. And if we all make sure our peeps are good, oh man, we got the power. We got the power. Okay? So start utilizing that, and I want to see how that works for you. Healing the trauma to see if your reaction is different and really bringing the true essence of you, not the reactionary you, to conversations to broaden people's minds. Okay? All right. So let me know how that works out for you. I would love to hear it from you. All right. Until next week. Peace.